Hi, it's author Ellie Alexander, and I am so excited to share part 7 of A Brunch with Death with you this week. This is our cozy mystery collaboration, and I have to tell you that it is continuing to take shape with such great twists and turns, all provided by you. This week was especially fun because we had our first ever tie. I can't believe it. I tallied up the votes, and we ended up with a tie in the question about Hank. What was Hank doing in the kitchen? It came down to whether or not he had slipped Peter a mint from the front desk or was stashing evidence. And stashing evidence, even after we put it back out to a vote, won by a pretty narrow margin. I am loving all of these ideas and energy. So without further ado, let's get to part 7 of A Brunch with Death. I kept a careful eye on Tony, who would return to the table after being interrogated by the professor. She bit the edge of her nails like she was nibbling an ear of corn. Richard was next to have a tete-a-tete with the professor, so I seized the chance to talk to Tony alone. "How are you?" I asked, offering her a glass of water. She tried to take the drink, but her quivering hands got the best of her. "I can't believe he's dead. This is a disaster." "It's quite distressing to think someone would want to murder a chef. Why? The food isn't what I would call impressive, but it certainly wasn't so bad it was worth killing for." "Murder?" Tony gasped. "You think so? You think it was murder?" I found myself in an unusual position. I was at a loss for words. Mere minutes ago, Tony had accused Brady of killing Peter. "I'm not sure I follow. Didn't you just ask the professor to arrest our young Petruchio?" Tony clutched the glass so tight I thought it might crack in her hands. She chugged half the water and slammed the glass on the table. "I did. I'm confused. I've never seen someone die. I suppose I'm not thinking straight." "It's to be expected." I offered her a pat on the forearm. She yanked her arm away. "Touchy, touchy." "Did you know Peter well?" I asked, intentionally using the deceased name. She took the bait. "Not well. We worked together previously, but I wouldn't say we're close." This was good. She was talking. If I could keep her talking, I might be able to get something out of her. And I knew the perfect tactic. I scooted my chair closer. "Let me offer you a bit of advice as your artistic director." That perked her up. "Okay." "I've found at times like this, while extremely taxing, these intense emotions can be mined and used for the stage, stored away in our artistic bank for later." She wiped her mouth with a napkin, smearing her garish lipstick. "That's probably true. I hadn't thought of using it in my craft." "Exactly. Lean into the emotions. Feel everything. Tell me about Peter." "He was exasperating," Tony muttered. She'd balled up the napkin she'd used to dab her face. It was stained with lipstick. "I told him this was going to happen. He rubbed people the wrong way. I knew it was going to get him into trouble." "How so?" "He made too many enemies." She stared at the engagement ring on her finger. "Was Richard one of them?" I pressed. She twisted the ring and tossed the napkin on the table. "No, Richard was excited about hiring Peter. But you weren't as, shall we say, enthusiastic." I recalled my initial meeting with Richard when Tony had railed on him for hiring the French or not-so-French chef. She wasn't giving me the full story. That much was certain. "Peter and I had a complicated relationship." She hesitated. I was ready to pounce, but the professor escorted Richard to the table and motioned for me to join him. "We'll continue this later." I stood and followed the professor to the other side of the dining room. "Please have a seat." He pointed to a chair at the 2-person table. I sat and folded my hands together. "Do tell, Professor. What are your thoughts? Is there a killer amongst us?" He frowned. Then he opened his moleskin notebook and turned to a blank page. "Indeed, Lance, I believe there is." "And do you have a suspect?" I asked, wondering if this was going to be an open and shut case. He tapped his pencil on the notebook. "Only theories and hearsay at this point. I would greatly appreciate your insight." But of course, I launched into a mini dissertation on everything that had transpired. I must say I would be shocked, actually stunned, if Brady did it. He might be hiding something, but I can't believe he has murder in him. Nor can I, the professor concurred. He revealed something most enlightening to me. Did you know that his parents own a very popular steakhouse in Portland? Apparently, he grew up in a professional kitchen. Did he? It sounds like he constantly covered for Peter. I think he was concerned if the truth came out about his cooking skills that Peter would fire him. The professor flipped back a few pages in the notebook. Yes, here it is. His exact words were, I couldn't make the food great because Peter had no budget. No budget? I pondered this for a moment. Do you think that's due to Richard Lord's stingy nature? The professor's wide eyes gleamed with a knowing look. It could be. However, according to Brady, the invoices in the kitchen didn't line up. He claims that Peter was never in the kitchen and left Brady and the other junior members of staff in charge of everything, including receiving daily deliveries. Brady insists that there are stacks of invoices for high-quality meats, produce, expensive cheeses that were never delivered. He had to work with grocery store items like what was served tonight. He turned to a new page in the notebook. I'll have to take a closer look at the Mary Windsor's financials, but if Brady is correct, it sounds as if there are thousands of dollars unaccounted for. Really? Now this was an interesting development. So you suspect that Peter was skimming? Perhaps. He readied his pencil. Is there anything else you can elaborate on? I am curious about Hank, the front desk clerk. I explained that I'd seen Hank and Peter arguing earlier. Peter taunted him and said, "Are you going to poison my soup?" And then he ends up poisoned. That seems like an unbelievable coincidence, don't you think? The professor nodded and made a note. Hank threatened him and told Peter to get out of town, I continued. There are two looming questions in my mind. What did Hank know about Peter, and what was he doing in the kitchen? Yes, the professor sighed. I agree. My team is examining every square inch of the kitchen. Perhaps we'll get lucky and find something. This is very helpful. I believe I'll have a word with Hank next. His name has come up quite often. Anything else to add? Well, I do wonder about Tony. She's a terrible actress. It's obvious that she and Peter had something going on, and I don't think she has any interest in marrying Richard. I, too, got that impression. My theory is that she and Peter were in cahoots. I think it's all a ruse. Peter was embezzling the kitchen budget, and Tony was trying to sink her teeth into Richard. Convince him to marry her and then clean him out? What do you think? A smile tugged at the professor's lips. Lance, if you ever tire of the stage, come see me. Before I could expand on my theory, a police officer interrupted us. Professor, come quick. We found something under the kitchen sink that I think you're going to want to see. All right, how do you feel about that? Our collaboration is taking such great shape. It's so exciting to see it come together. So this week's question, I'm sure you're not going to be surprised by this, is what did they find in the kitchen? We already know that Hank has stashed something in there, so maybe it's that, maybe it's something else. Maybe we're going to shift suspicion to Tony or back to Brady or the horrible Richard Lord. Could it be? I don't know. It's up to you. So your assignment for the next few days is to come up with whatever theory you can in terms of what's hiding in the kitchen. It could be an item, it could be a person, I don't know, it could be an Ashland brown bear for all we know. Share your thoughts in the comments on any of my social media channels, and then I will gather 5 of them and we'll put them out to a vote on Monday. So you have until the end of the evening on Sunday night to get your plot points together. Okay, so one other note is moving forward, once we get to the voting stage, I'm gonna put everything into polls on both Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. It was so much easier. I heard from a lot of you in terms of voting via the poll, and it's easier for me. Plus, I think we're at a stage in the story where it's beginning to make sense. Once I get all of those ideas together, we'll put it out to a poll vote. I can't wait to see what's gonna happen next. As always, be sure to subscribe to my channel and click the bell to get notified whenever I share new videos. Happy plotting!